Hello, welcome to Examining Fictional Heroes and the Authors Behind Them. My name is Wayne Browder. Continuing with the theme of survival stories, today I am covering the movie Daylight, starring Sylvester Stallone. This man has been my favorite actor ever since he hit the scene with Rocky. So, I have to admit, though, I have not seen all of his movies, despite that, but usually that's what draws me to a movie. Whether it's one of the ones he was in or not. Anyway, the movie Daylight follows a group of people who are trapped in a collapsed tunnel between New York and New Jersey. Stallone stars as Laturo, who once worked with emergency services, but was fired due to a decision that led to several deaths. And after the tunnel collapses, he is allowed, because of his familiarity with it, with the structure, to go in and try to find those who are trapped and to rescue them. And his journey into the tunnel is harrowing itself. He has to go through a series of giant fans that supply the tunnels with air. That's a very intense scene. And as they're in there, the governor and the city engineers decide no one is left. And they start digging on the New York end, which shifts the pressure inside the tunnel. So they're not only dealing with their initial problem, but due to this, there's greater flooding. He has to use an explosive in order to seal some of it off. And a man who works down there is injured. His neck is broken in an accident because of the digging. He finds a way out that is underwater and moves them to another room where the Sandhogs, the group of people who built the tunnel, originally Irish immigrants, worked 36-hour shifts, it said, in order to get this completed. They had bunks and stuff down in this room, which had been sealed off years before when things were reworked. He finds a way into it and takes the people there. But they have to leave George behind because it's swimming underneath the water. And there are things that he might get caught on. It's just not possible. So George has to be left behind. As they're waiting in that room, it begins to collapse. And rats come through there and they realize there's another way out. So they try to find it, follow the rats out. And as they're on the brink of actual escape, Laturo and one girl actually get trapped in there because of a collapsed stairway. And they have to blow themselves out. An explosion which forces them to the surface of the river where they're found. So all of the original group of survivors, except for George, make it out of the tunnel. Spoiler alerts, but this was a movie from the 90s, so if you haven't seen it, you're going to get spoiler alerts. But the action is very intense, and the suspense, and dealing with all the different people and the personalities of those who are trapped. Things like that are always challenging. Just like, dealing with any group of people is challenging, but when they're under that kind of pressure, it only intensifies. Stallone does all or most of his stunts, as he usually did. Viggo Mortensen also was in this movie. He took an early exit, by the way. He did most of his. This was prior to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so he was not so well known back in the day when they made Daylight. Sage Stallone was in the movie. Stallone's son, who later died. I don't recall how he did, but at any rate, with the theme of survival, the character Laturo took his chances just by going down into the tunnel, knowing that he might not get back out. And that in itself is heroism. It's self-sacrifice. It's risking your life for other people. So, one thing I want to stress, and I have hinted at on this show, is how loosely we have begun to use the term hero. We had already applied it to many people like athletes and stuff like that who didn't really deserve it. Now, some athletes are heroes because in situations they have risked their own lives and their own well-being for other people. Not calling any names right now, but I know certain ones have. But we've just become very loose with the word. And I would say since COVID, it's gotten even worse. Anybody who went to work was a freaking hero. Sorry, man. Showing up to do your job does not make you a hero. Unless you're something like a first responder or an emergency surgeon or something of that nature. So, I think we need to be less willing with applying that term to people. We need to be more selective about it and make sure it's someone who actually earns that title. I'm not saying we're all going to go down into a tunnel and try to rescue people. I'm just saying we should be less eager to apply that term to people who have not really earned it. And also, I have always thought that in many instances, a hero is someone who is an ordinary person who finds themselves in an extraordinary situation. As this movie progresses, these people become less victims and more heroes. They start working together. They help each other. So, this is the essence of what people are called to do, to help one another, regardless of how it may affect them or what it might cost them. At any rate, this will be a short one. I've covered pretty much everything, I believe. I'm sure most of you have seen this movie before. And I did get on my soapbox a little, it is true. But I do want to continue to stress those things. That to be a hero, that is a select club, if you will. So, it is something to be aspired to. I thank you guys for listening. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything you guys do. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Thank you.